All right, so in this video, you may choose to do the elimination method. You may choose to do the substitution method. Either one's going to take a little bit of time because we had x squared and y squared. Challenge with this one, the first equation is the equation for a circle, and the second equation is the equation of a parabola. And so we're trying to figure out how many times do these things meet. They can meet once, they can meet twice, they can meet, I guess, 3 times or 4 times, or they could not meet at all. And so the challenge is with our TI-84 calculators, it's hard to graph equations of circles on it. You'd actually have to do solve them both for y, and then take the square root, and then you have to put the plus the square root version and the minus the square root version in there for it to show the circle. So most will forget how to do that. So let's go ahead and show you how the elimination method we can work on this one. So we can't get the y's to cancel because one's a y squared, one's a y, so that's not going to help. So I need to get the x to cancel. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the top equation by a negative 2 so that I can add down and cancel out the x's. So as I multiply through, I get negative 2x squared minus 2y squared equals negative 8. Copy down the second equation right underneath of it. Now we can add the 2 equations together, so the x's do cancel. Now the y's don't combine, so we get to say negative 2y squared minus y equals negative 1. And then now it's a matter of we can go through and do the quadratic formula. We can factor. We can do completing the square to figure out the solutions for the y's. You got to get to pick what you want to do. I am going to multiply through by a negative 1 or divide through by a negative 1 to change all their signs. And that gives me 2y squared plus y equals 1. Then I'm going to bring the 1 back over, and I'm going to factor. So as I get this over here, I'm going to factor that. And I end in a minus. So that means I have to plus and a minus, and the factors of 1 are 1 and 1. Now I got to be careful. I want to have a positive 1 in the middle, which means as I put the 1 and the 1, I can go ahead and stick them in there. I need to make sure as I set it up, I need to do 2 times 1 and be a positive. So I want the 2 to be in front of this y, and then the other y there. And again, the reason behind it is I FOIL 2y squared. And then we have a minus y, a plus 2y, and then a minus 1. And then again, minus y plus 2y is a positive y, which is what I have in the middle. So as I have my two factor terms there, we get to say y plus 1 equals 0 and 2y minus 1 equals 0 by the zero product property. Solve for each of our y parts of our intercepts, and as I add that, I get 2y equals 1, so y is equal to 1/2. So now I get to go in and say, all right, I got those, so now I got to figure out, okay, what are the other solutions to where they're touching. So I'm going to go to the second equations first, and I'm going to say, all right, when I put in a negative 1 in there, I got to figure out what the x is. So 2x squared minus a minus 1 equals 7. And then that gives me 2x squared plus 1 equals 7. Subtract the 1. 2x squared equals 6. Divide by 2. And x squared is equal to 3. And so when I take the square root of it, I got 2 answers over there. X is equal to plus or minus square root of 3. So that means I have 2 ordered pairs with negative 1 as the y part. So I have a square root of 3, comma, negative 1, and a positive or a negative square root of 3, comma, negative 1. And then now I have to use the other equation. Well, actually, I got to use the other value, the 1/2. So I'm going to go back and use the parabola one again. I could use the first one, but I'm just going to use the parabola one. So 2x squared minus 1/2 equals 7. So we're going to add the 1/2 over. And that gives me 2x squared equals, sorry, I shouldn't have done that. It should have been just a 1/2. That would be 7 1/2 or 7.5. And we divide both sides by 2. and I get x squared equals 7.5. That'd be 3.75. I'm going to turn that into an improper fraction is what I'm going to go ahead and do. Yeah, because either way it's going to look ugly with the square root, so it really doesn't matter. So right here, if I deviate, 7.5 would be, if I went back to this step here, 7.5 would be 15 halves. And then when I divide by 2, I get x squared equals 15 fourths. Now when I square root both sides, I get x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 15 fourths. And then so I can simplify that to be x equals plus or minus square root of 15 over 2. So now that means I have square root of 15 over 2 comma 1/2 as an ordered pair, and negative square root of 15 over 2 comma 1/2 as another ordered pair. So this has a total of 4 places where the two things touch. So that would be something like if I had a circle and then I had a parabola, and this one would actually open up, so it kind of would look something like that where it's touching at 4 spots. So there are my 4 solutions.